Okie dokie. I just got to share this real quick and we shall start. Like I said, just sharing this real quick. And pull up the live chat so you guys can comment and I can see them for anybody who is watching. Cool. Alright, and there we go. Live chat is up and running. So I can see any comments that show up. Alright. So here we are, mixing Devil Trigger Part 2. The first part is called Mixing from Scratch. I should have named it that the first time. But anyhow, so this is where we started off yesterday. Whoops. Oh, my hard drive may have fell asleep. Just give it a second. It's getting ready to start up any second now. Alright, so where I left off yesterday, for anybody new watching, is this is what the song sounded like as soon as we started. So if you're interested in finding out what the how I got this far, you're going to want to watch the first video called Mixing from Scratch. So this is what the song sounded like before we started mixing. Alright, and now I'm going to turn all my plugins back on. And this is what it sounds like now. The drums sound really big, really powerful. So now that we're done with drums, the first part was on drums. So if you want to know about what I've done to the drums, you're going to want to watch the first part. So today we're focusing on bass and guitars and anything else we can get around to. Okay, so starting on bass. Now what I like to use is another Slate product called, let's see, the FG Gray. I just gotta find it. Here we go. There it is. FG Gray. This is a really great bass compressor. Actually, before I even start on this, I'm going to teach you guys a little trick I like to call side chaining. Side chaining is this is one of those things that create more control in your mix. It's one of those carving things. You don't want, the bass and the kick drum are going to be fighting for the same frequencies. So to stop that from happening, you're going to use this trick called side chaining. And that's just going to, I'm going to put a compressor on here, and Logic has a really great compressor built right in. So this is a stock plug-in that you can use. There it is, Dynamics, compressor. Yeah, just making sure I'm opening up the right one. Okay, so it's this one. This is a stock one. It's just a digital compressor. I really like it. So we're going to turn this side chain on and go over here, and we're going to look for the kick drum. There it is, kick drum. So now this compressor isn't going to affect the bass like tone wise. It's going to bring the bass down every time the kick comes in, so the kick can breathe in the mix, and the bass will go down anytime the kick is hit. So let's check it out and see how it sounds. I don't know if you can see, but anytime the kick drum hits over here, this kick drum, every time that comes on, you'll see this compressor throw back about 5 dB. And that's the only thing that it's doing on the bass. The compressor is not affecting the bass tonal wise. So this is going to allow more room in the mix. Do you see when I bypass it now that the bass drum and the kick drum and the bass guitar are kind of fighting each other, and then when I turn it on, they aren't fighting each other anymore. So I'm gonna give you a quick example. It's really weird because it's like as if the bass, you can hear the bass better, and that's because you can. There's more power behind this bass now because there's room for it. The kick and the bass aren't fighting each other, and that's an easy trick. You can do it in any DAW. It doesn't have to be Logic. You can do it in Pro Tools, Cubase, Reaper. They all have this feature. So let's go ahead and move on. So now I'm going to start not EQing, but compressing this bass even more. Usually you want to compress the bass, compress the living heck out of it. So let's see what we can do to this bass. As you can see, I'm putting on this high pass filter here. It's just one of those things, like I said, high pass everything. It gives a lot more room. When you take this mix to a car, because you're using this high pass filter a lot, you're going to get rid of a lot of the woof, all the stuff you don't want. What our goal here is to make a commercial sounding mix for anybody to listen to. So that's what I'm here to teach, is commercial mixing. Yeah, so let's go ahead and keep continuing and see what we can do. bass is already starting to sound pretty freaking killer, right? I hope I'm not imagining things here. I think that bass is already starting to sound way better than what we've done. So this is the bass without all the stuff I've done. And now. So I'm really happy with that. So like I said, this is one of those things where you can start with the whole tea time. Hold on. This is one of those moments where we can go ahead and start EQing now. Like I was saying earlier in the last video, for anybody who was watching. So I compressed first before I EQ'd. Like I said, some people would say that's a sin, but as far as I'm concerned, there's no rules in this, so I can compress before I EQ if I want to. And you know what's funny is I'm probably going to compress it even more because this is a bass guitar. We want to get as much as control as we can on it because it's really hard to control a bass. So what am I going to go to? Probably my mix rack, because it is the greatest thing in the world, and I use it like crazy. Actually, you know, before I even get into that, like I was saying in the video earlier, the last video, there's this new gate that came out from Steven Slate. I just want to see what this preset sounds like, because I haven't gotten to try it before. So there's bass mellow. I wonder what that sounds like. Okay, I don't really notice it doing anything, so we're not going to use that. Okay, so the EQ that I would normally use for this is this. It's a custom. What is that? A custom series equalizer that's built right into the mix rack. And let's see what we can do. I'm going to try and find some ugly frequencies and some good ones, and see what I need to boost and what I need to take away. And let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to boost this 7K here because to me it sounds kind of smooth and warm, and I like that in a bass. The bass is supposed to sound pretty warm in my opinion, so that's what we're going to go for. So we boosted it up about almost 4, is that what it's, yeah, 3.81. I would just say it's 3 dB, but it's pretty close to 4 dB. Let's see what we can find. Now, like I was saying earlier, 400 usually has a lot of disgusting box frequencies. You know, it sounds like your cat rumbling around in a box. It's just disgusting. Okay, so see, like here, normally 400 would sound terrible, but for some reason it's working out just fine for us. So I'm going to try some other frequencies just to make sure, because I might find that nasty boxiness somewhere else. If I can't, I might boost 400 just because I like how it sounds in this. Alright, so I like that. We boosted it up almost 2 dB. Now, let's see what 200 sounds like. Alright, there we go. So I'm liking what I did with 100. So we're going to go ahead and throw a high pass filter on here. And I'm probably just going to cut out maybe 90. Let's try 90. This is just, again, to leave more room for that kick drum. Yeah, that's sounding really, really good. I'm going to use this low pass filter here and see what I can take away from the high frequencies coming out of this bass and see what it does. Alright, so I took, what is that, 13K. Sometimes you'll see me do a really aggressive sweep, and that's so that way I can really hear like how much of a dramatic difference between what happened before I messed with it and when I did mess with it. It's really a helpful trick, just going on a real extreme route just to see what happens, so you know how sensitive the EQ is treating the frequencies. Because, like, alright, so the last one I was using on like the toms, and you'll see me use it on vocals later, this FGN, which is you know, the 1073. This is a very, very, very sensitive EQ, and you got to be careful with it. You got to use it very sparingly. While something like this you can be more aggressive with because it's sweet, but this is a really bitter EQ, and you got to use it sparingly. Okay, so let's try and attack some of these high frequencies and see if there's anything. I'm feeling like there's something that needs to be taken away, but I won't know until I really start messing. So I'm not a big fan of that 10K, so I'm going to take some of it out and see how I feel. Alright, so now we got that bass sounding really nice and warm. Now I'm going to try my favorite 1176 here and seeing what we can do, because this will, what I like about this is it brings those low frequencies out in a way that I haven't heard any other compressor do, not any of the ones I have anyway. So we're going to go ahead and try this and see what happens. Now that's really starting to sound like a really powerful bass. It's got a nice warm underbelly. It's hanging out in the bottom of the mix where it belongs. It's got a lot of power and a lot of girth to it, and you know, it just brings that whole bass end to a whole new level. It's really powerful, and I love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and move over to these guitars. I'm going to do that real quick so I can see what I'm doing. So guitars, there's a lot of guitar going on. We have leads, overdrive here. Okay, so there's rhythms. We're going to go after these rhythms real quick. Well, actually, I might not go for these rhythms because it's only intro rhythms. Here we go. This is what I need to find. Now, you notice I turned it to mono only because as of this mixing point, I want to hear it in mono so I can hear what I'm doing. And once I'm done EQing this, that's when I will put it back into where it belongs on the left side. Let's see here. Yeah, we're going to go back to my virtual mix rack. Now, I am not really much of a fan of using, especially in metal, we're not going to really compress this at all. Even if I did, it would be like a little, very minute smudge of compression. But as you heard me talk earlier, this is one of my favorite EQs to use on guitar. So let's see what we can do to this guitar. So this guitar is starting to sound a little bit, it's starting to get really clear sounding, and it's starting to sound powerful. It's starting to have that sort of djenty thing that Ro was going for when he wrote this song. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he used an 8-string guitar for this whole song. So, yeah. If I haven't said, I said it in the last video, but I'll go ahead and say it here too. If you haven't checked out Ro's channel, it's Ro Panuganti. Just a phenomenal guitar player, and he does a lot of covers, video game covers of just about anything you can think of, and it's all amazing stuff. This is one of his songs he wrote. He just sent me all the tracks so I could mix it, and this is this is his first time trying a third-party person to mix it other than himself. So, yeah. And I got his permission to do a tutorial on how I mix this. And like I said, this isn't the exact way I mixed it because I can't recreate that unless I created presets for everything. And I think that's kind of cheating for anybody who's coming here to learn. This is solely for the purpose of education. I'm going about it as best as I can with the same approach I went the first time, but I'm going to hear things differently than I did last time. Like, I mixed this on a pair of Yamaha HS5s, and right now, because I'm doing this as a live stream, I have to have these headphones on, and I'm hearing things extremely differently than I did when I mixed them on this, and this is my first time mixing on headphones, so hopefully I don't totally ruin this. As far as I could tell, I'm liking everything, but I won't know until I like listen to it through a pair of monitors. But if you can learn how to mix on, I'm told if you can learn how to mix on headphones, it's a really huge, it's a really big talent to have. I think his name is Niall. I don't remember what his name is, but the guy who mixes Periphery's stuff, he is a headphone mixer, and I remember when I was learning from one of his stuff how he mixed Periphery, that he basically he mixed the whole album on headphones, and he was talking about how it's a really big benefit to learn how to mix on headphones. So if you can teach yourself how to mix on headphones, it's pretty good. Like, imagine, you know, if you have a ton of clients, but you have to fly over here, or you have to go over somewhere around the country, and you're not around your studio the whole time, it's really, 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 really beneficial to be able to just pull your laptop out, put some headphones on, and mix right there. That'll keep stuff moving, and that's a really great way to keep your clientele happy. And the more you can mix, the more money you can make at this. So yeah, let's go ahead and keep going before I get too sidetracked here. Now this is going to surprise you. I'm going to turn this way down because I like using this line dB booster a little bit, because it'll add a little bit of like a lot of breakup in the guitars. And let's see what happens. So without it's not so much that it just got louder. It's if you listen carefully, you can hear the instrument have a lot more breakup, like it does in a loud tube amplifier, which is what a lot of people like about analog tube amplifiers. Is the louder they get, the more breakup you get. And this is my way of emulating that. I'm pretty sure he used a Axifex Ultra. I don't know, the Axifex 2, I think, XL. Yeah, he's got one of those, and that's what he uses for almost all of his music. He doesn't use any real amplifiers, and those things are amazing. They sound great, but it is still a digital form for your amplifier, and it's missing some of that characteristic that you get from tube amplifiers. And this is my way of emulating a tube sound by cranking that line input from a 1073. I'm sorry. It just gives you that breakup. Ooh, that's some good tea. Okay, so let's continue. Usually what I do for this is I just go ahead and copy and paste, because this guitar is going to be pretty much the same. We're going to go back to, let's see, it was left, and this one should be right. Okay, so now I'm going, is that right? Don't actually know. Yep, okay, cool. So now we're going to pan hard left and hard right. And now, listen to these guitars. It sounded really powerful. Drop them into the mix real quick and see how everything sounds. is with that stuff is I'm hearing a little too much of the top end from this bass coming through that isn't very nice to the guitars. I'm going to turn it down a little more and see what happens. I just used the revival on here just a little bit to try and get some more of my bottom end from the bass out, but I'm not sure how I feel about it, actually. Yeah, I'm totally digging that. Okay, so I kind of want to come back and attack the kick drum because I'm losing it a little bit. Let's see. I just need to. Sometimes that's all you got to do is just turn it up a little bit, and that'll get things moving in the right direction. Because you do need to pay attention to where your levels are. If you're not, you'll slowly start getting pretty lost. Okay, so we've already messed with these guitars. What's this? These are just intro guitars. Let me see what's going on over here. Check the guitars over here because right now, as far as I'm concerned, these aren't necessarily huge guitar parts in this song. Yeah, I remember this now. This because I like doing at least something. I'm just gonna copy and paste over these three here because they're not really important parts of the song, but they do need a little boost. Let's see how that sounds. Alright, now this is one of those things I would say pay attention to your levels. what just happened there. I put those levels up in a good spot, and now that sounds like a whole. The intro, these little, don't point at the screen. These little, ball, like big mouse. So these guitars over here, because they're only here in the intro, I am trying to make it sound like it's all one piece. If I can make it sound like one piece, then we've accomplished a really powerful part of the song. It sounds like it belongs there. It sounds like that's how it was recorded. It was all part of the one take. Again, this might seem weird, but I am just going to test and see. Now, I'm definitely not going to do this to the lead guitars, but I used the same preset throughout the whole thing, at least from what it sounds like to me. I could be wrong, but I'm just going to try this and see what happens, because this should clear everything up, and all the guitars should sound like this whole orchestral, because we got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guitar tracks, plus these 4 leads over here. So what I'm interested in is seeing if my goal here is to just try and make all of that work, and sometimes just copy and paste just does the trick. Look, we got another right, so I'm just gonna try this real quick. Hard pan, left, right, and let's see what happens. So I feel like it did work, but not too much. Probably just need to take that high frequency out. Just not necessarily out, but just 0. I'm going to try that and see what happens. And we're not going to listen to that whole intro part all over again. We're just going to stay where we're at. So that definitely helped out a lot. That put it in the background where it belongs. And let's go ahead and move on to these lead guitars. Alright, so there's a lot of lead going on over here. 3 different leads to be exact. Oh no, actually all 4 are doing something over here in this little loop I'm going to make. Usually that's something I like to look out for, is where is that spot having the most action at. Once there's a lot of action in this one little particular spot, it makes it really easy for me to just put a loop and a mix in that one little circle, so I ain't having to listen to this one little section over and over and over again. There's a lot going on here, and it gives me a lot to work with. because they're just background leads. Things where learning how to mix quickly is important because I already know normally on guitars, especially when I remember when I was mixing this, that around here at 3.2, what is that, it's kilohertz, which is pretty high. So with this 7.2, usually, at least I remember when I was mixing this, that these worked really well, especially on the leads. And as you can hear, what I'm doing, what EQ is doing a lot is tuning those instruments together. It's no different than like tuning your guitar or tuning your drums, or just any instrument that needs to be tuned. That works. So yeah, I'm just kind of like boosting it while I'm hearing the other guitar over off on the side and trying to get them to work and sound really good together. You saw me copy and paste, but it's just so that way I can get to this plugin much faster and get everything zeroed out than it would take to open it again, choose my default, because Slate has all those plugins pulled right up. So this is just a lot faster. Alright, so yeah, let's do this. air guitar skills are pretty impressive, right? All right. So yeah, this is. I think we got a pretty powerful guitar thing going on here. Guitar. So let's hear what we've got so far. I'm gonna play a good portion of the beginning and see how everything's working out. And that is not what happened. I left my loop on. Do that all the time. Somewhere now. I'm gonna turn these guitars down a little bit.
The darkest of night falls around my soul, and the hunter within loses control. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out.
I wonder what that was.
Out. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out.
Where is it coming from?
Out. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out.
I guess it's this.
Out. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out. Out. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out.
See, where is it
coming out from? Gotta let it out, gotta let it out.
Yep. I'm just trying to eliminate all vocals so I know where everything needs to go. Pasma, there she is. She's about to come in.
Move fast, baby, don't be slow. Step. rage that's inside me.
So there's another one. I wonder if that's all the vocals. Let me see.
All these thoughts running through my head. I'm on fire, veins burning red.
Find where her vocal is doing that thing. That's definitely it. And I think that's all the vocals. So now I'm gonna group all the. I just want to make sure. That's all the vocals. So everything that is soloed here, we're going to put up here. That last one right there. Vox effects. Actually, before I do anything. Things a little easier. I'm just gonna grab that, everything that's soloed, and we're gonna grab it. Grab doop 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 doo doo doop doo doop doo doo doop doo. Doing healthy. Okie dokie. Let's see, and we're gonna create a track stack. We're gonna name it synth. Okay, and then we can just do the same thing to the vocals, because now we know that's all vocals. I would kind of like to put Ro's, all of his vocals together, so I can keep Ro and Pasmith organized, because if not, I could potentially get myself in trouble with getting confused with what's what. Pretty sure it's organized enough. So, the synthesizers, we're going to fly right through that as soon as I finish making a track stack for Vox. Because, excuse me. Okay, so, there's Vox. Synth, we're just going, like I said, we're going to fly right through that bad boy, because I normally, with synths, I don't see the point of, hello, rock on, heck yeah. Yeah, Logic. Those who don't know about Logic, I wish that it was on a PC, but you have to do it on a Mac, so, hey. I ain't too mad about it. I love Logic. Okay, so we're just gonna fly right through these synths, because they, like I said, a good rule of thumb is if it sounds good, it is good. And pretty much all these synths are made with a computer. I mean, you could EQ them if you really want to, but I just personally don't see the point in going through the trouble. So we're going to just I usually like using the FG Stress, which is a distressor from Imperial Labs. And I'm probably just going to copy and paste it. Let's see here. This is a song that's written by Ro Panuganti. I just helped mix it. If you go to Ro Panuganti's YouTube channel, he's got about 10,000 subscribers right now or more. He wrote this song. It's called Devil Trigger, which is from a video game called Devil May Cry. If you go there, you'll hear the version that I mixed for him. But this is just me doing a educational. This is me trying to go about this the best that this is me trying to go off as best as I can the way I approached mixing it. This is for educational purposes, though. If I were to use just presets, sure. This is more of a heavy metal song, but whether it's DJ music or metal or rock or rap, I've been doing this for 7 years, and what I've learned over the course of the years is they all kind of use the same approach. So if you like cover music, check out Ro Panuganti. That dude is freaking awesome. But so here's the FG Stress. This is a really good compressor. The thing I like about this compressor is it's really clean sounding. It'll compress stuff and it makes it sound good. And since these instruments already sound good, all I'm trying to do is make it work. So here we go. We got synth lead. That's probably all I'm going to use. Yeah, I've been doing this for 7 years. I've been learning for 7 years. I've just finally gotten to the point that I have felt comfortable. Brave me feels like, hey, my mixes are getting up there with professional level stuff. You shouldn't have given up. That's why I'm doing this. I thought it would be really cool to do a live stream where people can actually ask me, someone who has a good experience with mixing music, and passing on my 7 years of experience on to other people, because it took me 7 years to get this down. It's like learning a new instrument. What I've learned from a lot of audio engineers is your console is like it's like an instrument. You've got to learn how to play it. Usually I'll tell people when I'm in here mixing, you'll just see me over here just rocking on to the music, really getting into it, because I'm helping write this song. It's I don't really know how to describe it. It's just like playing an instrument. That's the best way I can describe it. So this FG Stress here, though, if you were to get back into mixing, I highly suggest the Slate stuff. It's really, really powerful stuff. It emulates a lot of analog stuff. I usually write like hard rock to heavy metal. If you go on whatever you listen to that is for streaming music, I should have my EP of my music called Mr. Universe. And it's going to be a space-looking cover with Mr. Universe written in like a rainbow type thing. It's supposed to kind of look kind of futuristic. And that's the kind of music I like to write. It's very space-themed metal, or hard rock, really. It's like my take on Galacticon, if you haven't checked that out. It's the creator from Death Clock and Home Movies. He's the one who inspired me to like write that type of music, and I really love that space-themed rock and orchestral style. A lot of guitars, very Queen-inspired music, but like hard. It's like Metallica and Queen meet together to write music. That's the only way I can describe the way what I was writing, and a lot of like what Galacticon is, and Death Clock. But yeah, if you were to get back into this, you could check out like plugins are really helpful. Unless you have analog gear, which gets really expensive, you can use these plugins, like you see here, that are very helpful. I look like an office boy. Probably because I just shaved all my hair off. I used to have a lot of hair, but I've recently cut it all off. I'm tired of it. But I have a full-fledged studio in this room, and you can't see it all because of where the camera's positioned, but I have some rack mount gear, studio stuff. I have guitars all over the wall over in this direction. And I've actually never worked in an office before. I did a lot of work with like refinishing tubs and countertops, but I'm now currently doing maintenance tech work. But yeah, the Slate stuff only costs like $15 a month. It's a little subscription. And you can pay for an entire year subscription if you want. And these plugins, by far, are some of the best I've ever used in my life. I really love these things, and they make mixing a lot easier. And it's only $15, and you get all this stuff. It's not just this. There's a ton of other Slate stuff that comes along with this package. And I think I've seen the dude who does Deadmau5 use the Slate stuff too. I try to learn from everybody. It's not just a metal thing. I love metal, but I'm also a big fan of just about every genre. I like some country. I like rap, jazz, funk, you name it, fusion. My list just goes on forever. I've just learned a long time ago, it doesn't matter what genre of music you listen to, you can probably find something you like from that genre. Yeah, you will always be able to find something that does work, you do like. I just think there's no way you couldn't find something you like from any genre. There's rap metal. I think it's awesome. I love that stuff. But yeah, if you ever decide to get back into mixing, I highly suggest checking out the Slate stuff here. Just look up Steven Slate, and it'll show you $15 a month and everything you get with that. It's the everything bundle, and it's been one of the best investments I've ever made because it's making it really, easy to work on clients' music and get them a very commercial sounding mix. I have my own music. I could probably show you real quick. I'm not gonna play it, but I'll show you where to find it. Oh, there I am. Zach Mills. If you go here, and you can go to my videos. There's all the stuff I've done. It's not a big YouTube channel. I actually had a lot of junk on here, and I removed it all because I wanted to make this channel for the sole purpose of music. But this channel is for educational purposes only. All right, cool. Yeah, you could write. These are my two last songs I've wrote. Eye of Poseidon and The Raven's Path. And I don't know if you noticed, but Ro Panuganti here. He's my not my roommate. He's a neighbor of mine who lives right at the end of the hall, and we just met on the elevator one day, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm a pretty big YouTuber, and I do all this guitar stuff," because he saw me with a guitar box, and it was like, "Oh, dude, you should come over and check out my studio." And then I went over there and checked out his studio, and next thing you know, we've started doing some collaborations together, and he gave me the honor of mixing one of his songs. So, and it's really fun. The singer he got on this song, her name was Pasmith, and like her vocals are just I haven't seen. She's the featured artist on this. She's a killer singer. Let me see. Where is the here? Here we go. There's a lot of that going on right here. But I'll get around to those vocals later in this mix. Right now, I'm just focused on trying to get these synths sounding really good. This is kind of like what you were talking about, the EDM stuff. What's really cool about Ro is he's really good with mixing like dance style techno stuff into the metal that he writes. It's pretty cool. I don't see a lot of artists doing that, so it makes it a lot more funner to work on his stuff. So,
All these thoughts running through my head. I'm on fire, veins burning red. Frustration.
Here, I'm just going to copy and paste all this because these are synthesizers. They already sound good, and if they sound good, it is good. So all we're going to do is just compress them. We don't need to do all this extra work that is unnecessary. If you want to, you can. That's up to you. But this, to me, is just a waste of time if it already sounds good. Why waste precious time? In this industry with mixing stuff for clients, you got to be really fast, and sometimes that could make the song suffer. But if you know what you're doing, it usually doesn't. Like I said, don't critique every little thing. This will just make life a lot easier. So as you can see, all I'm doing is this, and I guarantee you, just because I did that, everything's gonna sound a lot better.
All these thoughts running through my head. I'm on fire, veins burning red. Frustration.
See, they're a lot more powerful, a lot more cleaner, because that's what that FG does. It's a very clean sounding. It does the magic. It is the magic. It'll work on just about. It's the most versatile compressor I can think of. So I'm going to go ahead and bring all these to Unity, because since I got this sent to a master bus over here, I'm just going to turn this down.
All these thoughts running through my head. I'm on fire, veins burning red. Frustration, it's getting bigger. Bang, bang, bang. Pull my devil trigger. Embrace the darkness that's within me. No hiding in the shadows anymore.
So that sounds killer. And now the really fun stuff. We're going to go ahead and unsolo all that. And go ahead and start getting the levels right for all this. All the synths.
Pull my devil trigger.
Alright, here's where the fun really comes in. Now we're about to mix vocals, which is really the last thing we got to cover in this song. And hopefully we have just created a commercial sounding song. So, yeah, I'm going to grab all this and do what I was saying earlier. I'm going to bring it all to Unity, just because I feel like that's the best thing to do. And I'm going to grab this is basically acting as a, like I said earlier, it's a sub. This is controlling the output of all this combined. So this is one of those moments where I gotta be sparing with the 1073, because if you notice, if I push this a little too hard, I'm gonna be getting a lot of and I don't need the sound of chicken being made on the stove. Do you hear what I mean? It's got a lot of S's in it. Oh, and you know, before I go through all this trouble, actually, I don't know if this is something I should do. I'm actually, you know, I'll talk about it after I VQ'd this, because the Slate plugin stuff, it comes with a de-esser, which will take the S's out of somebody's singing, like the way you hear me. This, it's going to be able to take that out of the audio, so that way it sounds more pleasing to listen to. Okay, let's see what we can do to this.
Pull my devil trigger. Pull my devil trigger. Devil trigger.
Alright, what do you think I'm going to go after? Probably my 1176. And just going to see what it does. This is pretty common for vocals. I just about use this compressor on everything. Doesn't mean it's going to work right now, but let's see what happens. Actually, you know, I'm going to try a preset. We have lead vocal smooth. I'm going to see what that does.
Devil trigger.
Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, I was talking about that de-esser. Let's go ahead and try that de-esser out. I believe it's in. Yeah, so this is one of the things that comes with the Slate Everything Bundle package. What I was talking about earlier. Yeah, so I'm gonna use a preset, which I normally do. Back in voiceover. Okay, so yeah, it's already set to the thing I would want, the solo vocal, I guess. Alright, do you see these yellow spots? That is S's that it's removed. It, like I said, the name of this stands for what it does. De-esser. Takes the S's out. That's with it, without it. And with it.
Devil trigger.
Okay, so since this is a lot of her vocals going on, I'm going to try and do the copy-paste method and see if it works on her vocals.
Pull my devil trigger.
says Pasmith, so I'm assuming that's Pasmith.
Bang, bang, bang.
It's weird. You hear these things in the background. You don't notice them there, but they're there.
Bang, bang, bang.
So
Pull my devil trigger.
okay, so that's sounding pretty freaking awesome. I'm sorry for my sound. Alright, so we're almost to the finish line. And once we get almost to the finish line, we're gonna start talking about reverb and what I've done to make the song sound freaking huge, bigger than life itself. And this is something you will probably use a lot. Even if it doesn't need a lot of reverb, you might still use a little touch of reverb in a lot of songs you're doing, because it just gives space. It sounds like alright, so like, you know, these are programmed drums over here. What am I going to do to make those drums sound like they were actually recorded in a multi-million-dollar studio? I'll show you once we're done with these vocals. So here's Ro's voice. Let's see, where is that going to be at? There we go. He's over here at the beginning. This is going to be a little bit interesting. To my favorite one. There's a preset here for backing vocals, but it's not necessarily backing vocal. I guess lead vox heavy. Let's see what that does. I'm liking that, and because, you know, let's just try and copy and paste to see what we've got going on here. And there we that is sounding pretty awesome to me. I just got one other piece of the vocals to. There's this thing. What is this? Probably. Yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna do this again. There's only one last piece of the vocal to mix, and it's this distorted little bit here, and you can't really hear it. But so what Ro did was to kind of create more of a monster sounding vocal in this in his vocals. He had an extremely distorted vocal part, and I'll let you hear that real quick. It's very unattractive, but it does add. You know, you don't really hear it, but it's there. It's there. You can hear it, but it's just it's hard to make out. But it does add to that kind of monster sounding thing he was trying to go for.
Gotta let it out, gotta let it out. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out.
Alright, because there's not a whole lot. It's even not even, I'm just gonna try and copy and paste and see what happens.
Soul and the hunter within loses control. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out. Gotta let it out, gotta let it out. This demon inside.
Okay, so yeah, there we go. We've got a lot going on here. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to select all of this, I think. Yeah, there we go. And because I don't know if any of you guys are noticing, I have the CPU bar up here, and I'm about to max it out. So I am going to show you a trick. For any of you guys who are mixing on laptops and stuff, I'm mixing on a Mac Pro, and this is me maxing the CPU out almost. If I start throwing any more plugins on, it's going to max out. So what you can do, and any DAW does this, just so you know. So for anybody who has a weaker computer or a stronger computer, but is still maxing out, this will just work on any computer. Okay, so on Logic, and like I said, Pro Tools, Reaper, any DAW you're using has this feature. Maybe, oh, you know what? I think it's, yeah. So you're going to go to, yeah, here we go, in the headers. And you see this thing that says freeze, and almost every software is going to have a thing that says freeze on it. You're going to turn that on. Now you see this little snowflake on all these tracks. Well, I am going to click. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now all these plugins that I have opened up over here, this is going to freeze them. So it's basically like the analog days where you had to commit to something. You don't, and the beauty of this is you don't have to commit to it. What it's going to do is render the audio with the plugin on it. And then everything's going to look the same, and nothing's going to sound any different. Everything's going to sound exactly the same. But what it's going to do is put a new version of the audio, which is the audio affected by the plugin, and set it on top of the audio. And it's not permanent. It won't permanently change it. So, like, you go, oh, man, I need to go back and EQ something else. You can just undo it, and you can do what you got to, and then turn it back on, so that way you can save on your CPU. So as you can see, the CPU was about to blow out. So I'm gonna hit the play button, and there's gonna be a moment. It's got to render all of this real quick, which I don't know how long that'll take. But as soon as we're done, then you'll all of a sudden notice that all my CPU power level has gone way down. So if you've never heard of that before, or you've ever gotten frustrated because the deadly, You've run out of CPU power or CPU power overload. Well, what do? I can't finish mixing the song now. I used to worry about that all the time until I learned this trick. And you could mix a song that has over 200 tracks on it, and as long as you use this, you're going to be able to finish your session. So, and as you can see, it's rendering. It says freezing, but it's just rendering. It's a really, really beautiful day here in North Carolina. It's a Saturday. It feels great. I did have iced tea. I don't anymore. But, you know, that's a me problem, and I'll have to fix that later. Like I said, we will cover the reverb, and something that's really been holding me down to Logic is their stock plugins. I'm personally not a big fan of the direction that Apple's going, and I really want to go towards the PC realm. But I am kind of trapped because they haven't let Logic be available on Windows yet, and they probably never will. And it's pretty frustrating. I really love Logic, and I left Pro Tools because Pro Tools is kind of doing the same thing. They don't really treat their customers very well. You know, I pay $300 a year, and they can't keep any of the drivers or software up to date. It's really glitchy because I upgraded to Mojave, and I didn't figure out that you weren't supposed to upgrade to Mojave until 2019 or Pro Tools 2019.1, whatever. And it still hasn't come out. They said it would be out in the first, at least I remember somewhere said it would be out in the first 3 months, and here it is. You know, the 4th month in to this year, and still no 2019 from Pro Tools. So I don't even really care. I've been just using Logic. I don't really care to use Pro Tools anymore. But if I go to PC, I'm gonna have to, because Logic can't transfer over to it. And if Apple fails with this new modular Mac Pro they're about to come out with, I'm done. My computer's too old. I really want to upgrade, but they don't have any legit upgrade options. You know, some people might be interested in that iMac Pro. Not my thing. As an audio engineer, I like having a modular system that I can swap parts in and out of to keep it running at its best. And you know, this computer's too old. The hardware, and it's getting too old. I've done everything I can to keep it up to date, but before long, it'll just be completely obsolete. And you know, it's still a workhorse. I can sit here and mix all day long and it not hold back, but because of the way Apple was just, I'm really worried about what this new Mac Pro is going to be like. And if it's garbage, I'm going to PC. But for some reason, I'm getting a full CPU load. Let me see what this is showing. It's only showing one thing. That's weird. Let me just go ahead and play it and see what happens. Yeah, so as you can see, it was earlier getting ready to like max out, and now it's not. I just took a lot of the load off of my CPU and keep mixing, keep moving forward. And like I said, if I had to change anything, I can just click that unfreeze and edit something and then turn it back on, and there you go. So yeah, let's go ahead and start talking about reverb. So the first thing I want to do before I mess with these vocals is I want to make the drums sound huge and organic. And I learned this trick from Spectre Sound Studios. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, he gives a lot of really good mixing advice. So if you haven't heard of him yet already, go check him out. So what I'm going to do is create a bus. Yeah, a bus for this kick, and I'm going to create that same bus for a couple of different ones. We're going to use bus 5. Why not, right? Okay, so here's bus 5. So bus 5, see, it created an aux for me. It says aux 5. We're going to rename that to drum verb. Drum verb. Okay, and I'm going to show you my favorite reverb. Here we go. It's called Chroma Verb. It's built right into Logic. And I think I remember actually just being really happy with a preset that this was made. The drum ambience. Let's see what that sounds like. That sounds really weird. I'm pretty sure that's not the way it's supposed to sound. Pre. I think I want it to pre. I really don't. I am a little confused. I'm gonna drop that. Let's just let's try this snare. I'll send it to bus 5 again because this is our drum verb, and I'm just going to play again. There we go. I really like that that drum chamber. Sounds nice. Really huge. And you know what we're going to do? We're not going to send the whole kit to it. But we are going to send the rack toms to it. Remember, we're on 5. 5 again. And let's see, 5 again. If you have any questions, don't feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer any for anyone who's watching. We're also going to send our room over there. See what these toms sound like. Alright, let's go ahead and see how this sounds in the mix. anybody hear the drum reverb I'm doing? I'd like to hope they can. If they can't, please let me know. I'm starting to wonder because it's not sent to the output 7 and 8. So I'm going to assume that nobody's hearing it. Okay, so I'm going to mute the drum reverb some and turn it back on so you can hear the difference. Okay, so something I want to do is throw a compressor on here. This one. So this is a stock compressor from Logic. All I want to do is it's an emulation of the 1176, which you see me use a lot. But this is Logic's version of it, and it's just as good. Only reason I'm pulling it up separate from the Slate stuff is it uses even less CPU power than the other thing, the virtual mix rack. So, yeah, let's see what we got. Woo! That's loud. Now listening to that, I'm going to go over here to the snare and turn some of it down because, I'm feeling like that's too much verb on that snare. Okay, so I'm starting to notice we're having some overpower issues again. So I'm going to freeze our vocals. Like I said, this is the sole purpose of education, so we can't have any interruptions here. Normally I ain't got to worry about this, but because I have to have a separate channel that is getting sent out to you guys, I have twice the amount of plugins that I would normally ever use. So I have my master that I'm listening to, and I have a master being sent out to you guys because I can't make a special send from the master to just audio. I have to make a whole new stereo out that is getting sent directly to you guys, and having an exact copy of my master onto that, and then everything's getting sent to that channel, so you guys can hear everything I'm doing. And that's why I started wondering if you guys could even hear the reverb, but I can't tell. I don't have headphone. These headphones are for me to hear what I'm doing, and I can hear everything, but I don't know if you guys can hear everything. There's a new, let's see, a new reverb I'm going to toy around with that I didn't get the chance to toy around with on the original track, because it just came out. It's a new reverb from Slate. It's got a weird name to it, so it's, excuse me, it's the Luctus. I don't remember how to pronounce it. But it's a reverb plate, and I got to toy around with it just a little bit the other day. It sounded really good from what I could hear, so we might try to send the drums to that and see what it sounds like. But until then, sometimes rendering these tracks just take all day long. Like I said, everything I'm doing here is, just take with a grain of salt. This is my approach. This is how I do it. I'm just trying to give you guys a something to reference, something that if you're trying to get into this, and maybe even try to make a professional career out of this, this would be, a good starting place if you're new to it. Sometimes I forget how long this takes. Oh well, at least this is still faster than the old days where you had to wait like the length of the song just to rewind it all the way back to the beginning. Those were dark times. I'm kidding, of course, because the analog days were, in my opinion, the best days. I wasn't a part of that. I'm way too young to have been a part of that, but everything I've learned about it, it's like, dang, man, I wish I was a part of that. I really wish I was part of that analog era when music it had soul. A lot of the music then had a lot of soul to it. Everything just sounds too perfect now, and the soul is gone. It's a little disappointing, but hey, these guys have got to pay their bills somehow, and this is what the band wants. It's what they want, or the musician, whoever you're working with. You're out to please them. You're also out to please yourself. Don't forget that. If you're not happy with it, then maybe it's a good idea to, don't get too hooked up on stuff. Just you're only as good as the last record you made. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't even know if I'm making sense right now. But yeah, almost done. For me, if I'm going to work with a band, I would want to have a sit down with them, try to understand what their vision is, and if I don't click with that vision, it's probably a good idea to say no to it. If you're not going to enjoy yourself mixing this band, it's going to show in the work, and that's really important. So, let's see where the CPU is. We're good. Now I want to try and see what that Lucturus plate sounds like. So we're gonna make a new send, a new drum thing. Do 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 do. I'm gonna try Got 6 here. We're making a new one. I'm going to make drum verb 2. Because, like I said, I haven't tried this out yet. So, you're going to see me kind of go about the same approach. And let's see what happens. Is it? Yeah, Lusturus plates. And there it is. Isn't it pretty? I remember just the way it sounded right out of the box. I really liked when I last messed with this. So let's see what happens. Just going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to mute that and see what this new drum verb sounds like. See what we got. Let's compare. Actually, let me copy this compressor over. Get them about the same level. Alright, now let's compare. Oh yeah, that's right. You guys probably can't hear that. Gotta send it to output. Whoops. 7 and 8. There we go. And crank it up. There we go. Okay, now you guys should be able to hear it. So that's the chroma verb. The thing that I like about the chroma verb, and it really shouldn't be that a big deal or anything, but it's beautiful. Look at that. Oh, I can't even really see what it's doing. That's kind of disappointing. Normally, it's like all this stuff going on. But whatever. Maybe you'll see it on the vocals. Now let's switch back to the slate verb. there's no, like I said, there's no rule book here, so I could potentially, like, I like them both. I really do. The chroma verb is kind of a dark sounding reverb, while the Lusturus is very neutral. It just sounds neutral. I don't know how to explain that any better. Let's see if I can mix the two. What does it sound like in the mix with both of them running? And then I'll try and mute them. Okay, so I think that sounds kind of cool. Like I said, this is a little outside of the way I actually mix the song, but like I said, this is all for educational purposes, not to teach you how to mix Devil Trigger, because it's not like you guys have the access to these files. So, up next, let's go ahead and attack the vocals. We're almost done, guys. Let me just wish I had a de-esser on this thing. Okay, so I'm going to send this to a new bus. I'm going to use 7. No, wait. Actually. I'm going to... Now, something I want to just go ahead and go after first is her crazy... Her really long... it already naturally has some reverb on it. So, we're going to send this to bus 8. And this, bus 7, whatever, you know. I guess this will be bus 8 right now. And we're going to just name this long vox verb. So I know exactly what it is. You know, I used the chroma verb on this again. I used the chroma verb actually on everything. But I really want to try the slate one again. I'm really curious because of the way it is stock. It's got a lot of verb going on. I'm gonna make sure I send this to you guys, so this time I'm not doing it and talking about what it sounds like, and then be like, oh, I forgot. Sorry. So here we go. Yeah. Okay, that just sounds pretty freaking awesome, right? Ha! That's awesome. I figured that I was so disappointed when I started mixing this song that these plugins didn't come out sooner. I really wanted to try them out, and you know, sometimes that's just what you got to deal with. You're gonna have to work with what you got until stuff comes out. But yeah, listen to that. I hear some stuff I don't like, so all I'm going to do is, I guess I'm just going to use this stock channel EQ, because I'm not really doing anything spectacular. All I'm trying to do is put a high pass and low pass filter on it to take care of some of the screechiness. Get over here, there we go. And let's see. Let's see how this works. I'm going to try and attack too. I'm just going to see. You hear there's no, like, popping anymore? It's just beautiful. the way to 1K. Let's try that. Okay, I am going to go ahead and say I don't think that's the problem. We're just going to take care of 2K real quick. And I'm going to grab this right here and try and take some of that the part we just saw out a little bit. The high pitch crackling. Wherever it's hiding at. We'll find it. Just got to go fishing. There it is. Alright, so I'm going to take some of it out. Let's see what happens now. Take more of it out. And I happened to notice while I was in here that there was another section that was kind of getting a little out of control. Take this and kind of just hit this little section over here and see what happens. That it's kind of got a little muffled, but it's all right because it's a background thing. Let's see how it sounds. All right, I'm pretty sure when I was mixing this that needs to go to the same part. So we'll just send it real quick. Throw this on there. That's going to really make that reverb really shine. Yeah, now that's sounding pretty killer. Alright, now we're just going to attack the rest of our vocals. And yeah, we're almost done. Then I just got to show the EQ on the master, and that'll be it for this lesson. We're narrowing it down, guys. So there's a whole lot of Pasmith going on over here, so let's go ahead and figure it out. Lictorius plate again. Like I said, the whole time I mixed this, I used the Chroma Verb, but I'm pretty excited to try out the Lictorius plate. I really have been enjoying how good it freaking sounds. It's got a lot more power behind it than the Chroma Verb. When I mixed this, the Chroma Verb was perfect and beautiful, but this thing's also beautiful and has even more power behind it. It's like, almost a replacement to the Chroma Verb. Now, I still like the Chroma Verb, and I'm going to use it. But for this example, I'm going to use this. I really like the way it sounds, and I'm loving the way it's working with me. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get this moving.
There's no way to contain this storm swelling inside me. I'm a bomb you can defuse. I would. Pull my devil trigger.
Okay, so up next, and this is going to be hard to do at the same time, so I'm going to copy and paste so you guys can hear what's going on. Now I'm going to EQ the master some. So wish me luck. This can be a very, very sensitive process. So I start off with that low pass filter. Okay, so here we go. So this is what I've done. I'm going to paste. There we go. And so now you guys should hear what I've done to the EQ, and I'm going to bypass and unbypass it. So this is before I EQ'd. And here we go now. Alright, so now that we're pretty much done, let's go ahead and do a final listen through, maybe adjust some levels, see how we feel about the whole mix. Sounding really good so far.
Pull my devil trigger.
I just wanted to stop the track real quick to clarify that I am not an office man. Thank you. Actually, I'm going to stop real quick. Something I didn't do in the final version is you hear that, like, the... I wouldn't mind throwing that into the reverb section and just seeing how much more... I'm not an office man, but I will tell you, I am a professional bald man now. True story. That's how the office man mixes. I'm still not an office man, but I'll pretend to be an office man. Okay, so that's the end of this tutorial. Like I said, if you wanted to see the drum section, check out what is it? Mixing from Scratch, which is my first upload. I probably should rename it to the Devil Trigger Mix Part 1. That's probably what I'll do, so people will know that it's part of this video. If there's any questions at this point, alright, fine, I'm the Eggman. I'm an office egg. Yeah, an office egg. So, yeah, if there's any questions left before I end this stream, please ask, because I don't know when I'll be getting around to doing the next tutorial. So just, yeah, if you have any questions left or you want me to touch up on something real quick, please ask. I'll give it a couple of minutes before I end the stream. You can see all these levels are in different areas. A lot of reverb going on. I really like the way this mix turned out with the new reverb from Slate. Like I said, I didn't get the opportunity to try it out when I first did this mix. It wasn't out yet. I mixed this a couple of months ago, and after a while thinking about doing this YouTube channel, I asked Ro if he was cool with me trying to do a tutorial on his song, and he said, yeah, go for it. And so here we are. Yeah, like I said, just keep it in mind. This is not everyone's way of doing everything. It's just, an educational thing. So it doesn't seem like anyone's got any questions, so I guess it's about time for me to go ahead and end this. I'm going to give one more chance to anybody. If anybody has any questions. There is one thing I would have loved to have touched up on, which is automation, because I'm sure, as you noticed, even though we played through the whole song, some things are louder than others, some things you can't hear very well. A lot of that can be addressed with automation, but that would take all day to teach how that goes, and that could be a tutorial for later down in the future, even if it's something I need to touch up on for this. But it takes a very long time to automate all the tracks. It really could take me all day to automate not every single track. A well mixed song doesn't need a lot of automation, but you still really got to be very careful with it, because you could easily make things way too loud. I had to go back and re-automate some of this the first time, because I did the car trick, take the mix out to the car, see how it sounds, and then go, oh man, this sounds like crap, and come back up here and try to fix my notes I took in the vehicle. But yeah, so it doesn't look like there's any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and end this here. And you guys enjoy. No, I'm dating someone named Morgan Bost. She is the. Well, I can't say it on here, but yeah, she's why I'm wearing a ring. So, yeah. She's an amazing person, and I love her. So, hands off there, Miss Eggman. Look, there's a whole lot of meception going on here. I go on forever. I wonder how far that actually goes. I gotta take a screenshot of it and zoom in on it. I think it's Command 5 or Control Command 5, Option 5. I don't remember anymore. Control Shift 5. I don't remember how to take a screenshot on it. Boo! Oh, boo you, Miss Boo. Anyhow, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the stream here. You guys enjoy your weekend, please. Be safe out there, and I will see you next time. Peace.